back to more great memories from 20 years of motivating the masses, 20 years of the climb, 20 years of behind the scene and the life that got us to this point. I'm sitting here with one of my favorite people on the planet. What you guys might know him as Jelani. I call him my son of bun. Can you believe I just said that?
Yeah. Yeah, I can believe you said it, yeah.
Now, did I want you to say it?
Yeah,
No.
yeah. They're two different things.
Right. One of my, you have, it's funny because parents say they want to be friends with their children, but they're parents first. And there's never a question that I'm your mom. We're both clear on that. But I'm just amazed and grateful on how we become friends. And we became friends a long time ago. I think is what you said earlier in one of the earlier episodes. It was just us growing together. So we figured out the dance. We helped each other cook, helped each other clean. I remember the time when your homework got too hard for me. And I was like, no, I don't know what a logarithm is, but we can go find out.
Right.
And we just started this journey together, right? I want to share something that I didn't think I would share, but I feel like someone needs to hear it. And you said something in the earlier episode, another episode I love. You said, I've always reminded you that it's bigger than us. And so I guess that's why I'm sharing this. Recently, in the last 5 years, I experienced one of the biggest frauds. I've never been frauded, so I guess I can't say one of the biggest frauds. I've never been frauded. I hired a consultant who represented himself in one way. And I went to New York to raise capital for motivating the masses. And it was just another business trip to you.
Right.
Right?
It was in the string of trips to New York. I knew that.
Right.
Yeah.
I kept going to New York, kept going to New York, kept going to New York. Because I was in this business venture. Baby, we're going to change. This company's going to explode. We're going to, just all this excitement. And it required me going to New York. Well, what you don't know is when I was going to New York, I was meeting with my investment banker, shaping the company, positioning the company to raise capital.
Right.
And on this trip, I never forget my phenomenal, amazing, generous investment banker. I can tell something was wrong. He set me in the lobby of the hotel in a private area, and he dropped this big stack of paper. You never knew how it happened. 88 pages of proof that the person, the consultant that I trusted, whose name I put on our documents, was a fraud. And everything he touched in my company was now stained. I never had that, ever. So I'm shocked, I'm devastated, I can't breathe. The whole trip to New York is a bust because I'm not raising capital at all, of course now, because I gotta clean this up. I fly home, and for 6 hours, I'm on the plane, sitting, looking out the window, crying. Just sniffling. And the woman sitting next to me, when we get about an hour away from San Diego, she says, ma'am, I don't know what you've been crying over, but it's gonna be okay. I've been praying for you. And I couldn't even hear her. She sounded like Charlie Brown's parents, wah, 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 wah. I couldn't hear her because my head was, because my investment banker said to me, this could be the most devastating thing that your company endures in the last 20 years. If there's anything that can take you out, it could be this. That's all I could hear.
Right.
So I come home to you, and At the time, you were maybe about 19, right? And I don't ever want you to know about the hard stuff, like any parent.
Right.
I want to protect you. And so I come into the house. I try to skate past you because I'm still like, my eyes are swollen red. I don't want you to really see me. And I come into my room, go straight into my room, and I crack the door, kind of like to possibly get you to stay out, but I don't want to shut you out, which is not like me.
So from my perspective, what happened was you walked in, and I can always tell, like, your first impression, like, you know, is I always know, like, when you're walking in the house, like, you're usually in a certain type of mood. This one was looking at the floor. Mom, this was a slow motion walk. And it was those kind of things. Like, you don't ever really look at the floor like that. People don't really notice that about, like, random people, but you don't walk around with your head down.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that's what you noticed. I in my head for the last 5 years, I wonder, what made him?
You're a chin up type of person. And so when you walk in the house with your head down, that's like a big red flag.
I was trying to hide from you. And I'll never forget. I knew I wouldn't get through this one. You followed me into my bedroom, and you have this way. You've done this for years where you don't look at me, you look through me. I don't know how. Even as a teenager, you just have that. You're just very still and very steady. And you looked at me and you said, "Mom, do you remember that? How you doing?" And I tried to muster up all my fake fraud, fake it till you make it, put on the mask to tell you. I'll never forget, I'm looking up at you standing right by my bed. Do you remember that? And I said, "Fine." I can barely get it out. And you said, "You're not okay." Do you remember that? And then
It just broke out.
I broke down.
Yeah.
I fell to the floor. I didn't have any energy to fake it. It wasn't working anyway. And I didn't cry. I wailed. And I can count the number of times that I've wailed on one hand with fingers left over. And you just went to the floor with me. And I just bawled because I felt like everything that I had worked, here you are, you're 19, you know, you're about to start your life. I want to be a part of that. I want to be a pivotal part of that, and I'm about to have to start over again. That's how I saw it.
Right.
And you wrapped around me. And you just helped me. And then you got me up. And you did something. I'm thinking about how I got to get out of this. I'm thinking about how we can't let this take us down. I'm thinking about I got to hire more attorneys. I'm thinking about how much money it's going. I mean, my head is spinning. I'm thinking about how embarrassed I'm about to be. I'm also thinking about how much I hate this person. How much I want him to pay. All of a sudden, this thing came in me that I hadn't seen before, which was pure anger for somebody. I'd seen it years past, but I had worked on myself. I hadn't touched this kind of mad in years. And I was okay with the bad. And you said something to me. You just rocked my world. I don't know if you remember what you told us to do. You said, "Mama, let's pray." And I said, in my head, "No, I got a lot of ideas, but praying wasn't one." I literally was thrown off by you saying that. I don't know if you remember, we stood at the foot of my bed.
Yeah, I remember this.
And then you blew my mind even more. We were praying. Do you know what I'm about to say?
Yeah.
What?
In our prayer, like, I think like halfway through, and once we're like, praying for resolve and peace of mind.
You were praying. I wasn't praying. I was sobbing.
I figured we pray for that guy's family and whatever they're going through on their side. Because if he's frauding us, he might be frauding them. Because I heard he had a fake family, so I figured they might be.
You started praying for the perpetrator.
Yeah, because he was definitely in some hot water.
You prayed. We weren't one step out of this yet. And you were praying for the perpetrator. That prayer convicted me so much, Lonnie. It cut me. It cut me to my core. I didn't think to pray for him. I only had bad thoughts about him. Mm-hmm. And God, you brought me back.
Everything's full circle, I think. I'm only the way I am because, like, a lot of like who I am is like at its core, MTS, which is motivating the teen spirit, which is her, your baby, your first little company, and so yeah, all that. Like that kind of stuff like comes back to the I don't remember the names of any of these lessons, but it's the one
truth.
with the mountain, yeah.
Total truth.
Yeah, and so that one is the one I always like come back to. It's like it keeps me grounded and like in those moments when like you're angry and
you didn't just ground you, you grounded me.
Yeah. You
brought me back.
Because it's understandable that when you're in anger, you like realistically don't see that stuff. And who's gonna who's gonna like hold that against you? You know? It's unrealistic to hold it against someone, the things they do in anger, or the things they don't think in anger.
Amen.
And so like, if you're not in it in the moment, I'll hold the space for it for you.
Oh, say that again. That's right there.
Holding the space for it for you. Like, so that when you're ready to like fill in that gap, I'll step back and have you hold that space. I'm speaking on my butt now.
I done good. This one right here.
Yeah.
You were my lifeline that day.
Well,
you were my lifeline that day. Because one, I was scared for our future. And two, I was scared of the anger I felt. But when you start praying for him and you prayed for his children.
Right.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. It was mostly about his family and like, they must be going through some stuff too. And like him on like his side, I'm sure. It's weird. It's hard to say because like assumptions makes it, an ass out of you and me. But I'd like to assume that like even in like people's bad decisions, that it was just like it's not who they are, it's a decision they make. Like you are the things you choose to do, and I think it also goes backwards. Like the things you choose to do are the things that make you, and so you always have a chance to choose differently.
Come on, teach. Tell them again. Say that again.
You always have a chance to choose differently, and so that's what keeps me positive. And whenever in my mistakes, because I make a bunch of mistakes, and so my main thing is I like internalize it. I just choose to let it go and act differently from now on. Like I can't change the past. I can only like future Jay can be a better person. Past Jay can't.
He goes by Jay. He talks about himself.
Yeah,
I say Jelani. He says Jay.
My past self can't be a better person. Like it's too late for him. Future me has all the room in the world though.
Oh.
I have no love for past me.
He said, I have no love. There's been someone that's been integral in our journey. And I would be remiss if I would have her in the house and not invite her. Mom.
She might be upstairs.
She's in the kitchen. She stays in the kitchen. Can you come here?
I heard her. She's in the kitchen.
She has been the safety net for both of us.
Right. Yeah.
For both of us.
I was just writing in I'm gonna give a spoiler, but I was writing in a Mother's Day book to her about how we used to go get bagels and stuff because I had school and she had work, so I had to get to school super early because she had to get to work on time. And so we would stop for breakfast in the morning, and that was like a really nice, consistent part of growing up, staying with my grandma was, those little things we shared that no one else really have.
And going to the movies.
Going to the movies, yeah.
No. This is what y'all used to share. No, I'm gonna tell
to that part. We both know what we're talking about.
No. That every weekend she would take you to GameStop.
Well, yeah.
And she would buy you new Pokemon cards.
Well, back when Blockbuster was a thing, you can games and movies at the same time, so it was the best of both worlds.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you about
you
how.
See Avengers again.
No, I'm gonna tell you how she has influenced him. They would go movie hopping, but they would go unauthorized movie hopping. They would get a ticket for one movie.
There's no sign.
And they'd see how many.
Well, there's no sign that says you couldn't go see another movie.
Yeah, you're paying to go to the movies. Movies.
What?
Going to the movies. Who says I'm going to the movie?
Please, if you try this at home, don't drop my name. Them two.
You don't go. You do it at the movies, not at home.
So you two have watching you, Mom. I love you, and you were a different mother for me than you were a grandmother for him. Because when you were as my mom growing up, you were young. You were figuring it out. You had me when you were 21.
18?
Right, 18.
Yeah.
And so we grew up together.
Yes, we
So
did.
you're figuring out. So I didn't see this mom that you saw, the
Right.
grandma. So it was like having a beautiful, amazing experience witnessing who I thought to be a great mom for me, be even more she filled in the blanks. First of all, let me just say, Mama, I don't ever recall you cooking a breakfast for me when I was growing up. Did you?
I cooked breakfast.
Did you cook breakfast for me one time?
I cooked breakfast.
Did you cook 3 times?
I would go to get the donuts and the hot chocolate.
Mama, that's
School
not cooking
bus.
breakfast.
I would cook breakfast.
That's not,
sometimes.
what?
Sometimes.
No. So I would wake up. Now I'm not complaining, because this is why I love donuts to this day. It's why I have donut issues. I would wake up to the smell of bear claws in the oven and hot chocolate. When Jelani was born,
That's breakfast.
when Jelani was born, she used to cook breakfast. So I witnessed her become she was fun, and she was a mom, the best mom ever. But I saw another level of maternal when it came to you.
Well, we bonded early because remember when he was born, I was in the delivery room.
I know,
And
because
the
you
doctor took
I
him
know.
from you
Hello.
and gave him to me.
I know you were in the delivery room because you threatened the nurse.
Well,
Let's not another
we
time.
won't go into that. Well, she didn't want to let me into the delivery room, and the doctor, I'm a nurse too, and the doctor that delivered Jelani
Was a good friend of
was
hers.
a good friend of mine, and he said,
So she bum rushed
So you
the nurse.
threatened him?
She told the
I
nurse,
did.
"This is my daughter and my grandson, and I'm not asking you to let me in.
and what the doctor said, he said, give her some scrubs, let her in.
Scrub her in."
Yes.
You put on scrubs.
I put on
yeah.
scrubs to go into
And
the
she
delivery
was
room.
the first person to hold Jelani.
So we bonded early. So we had that bond from then on, until his little Jelani voice changed like this. And I'm like, is he growing up? I didn't want you to grow up. I really didn't.
Can I tell you, Jelani, 2 days before your wedding, your grandmother had a meltdown.
Yes, I did.
She got upset. She got emotional. She got picky. She just got really ugly.
I went and got one of your little boy pictures.
And she's
put it
walking
on
around with the baby picture, putting it to everybody. She took a picture of the baby picture and sent me the baby. I was like, I'm not.
No.
So anyway, thank you guys for the journey. Thank you for.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is it's definitely like a good, like any good mix. It's not just one thing that makes it a great experience. I think we all have our very unique parts, and the journey's not far from over. So
Can I ask?
It is far from over.
Right.
Well, Lisa,
The
let me
journey. Say that again. The
something.
journey is
The journey is far from over.
It is.
For sure.
It's- and I have to say something. I've seen you, single mom, raise a wonderful son, responsible son. He just got married. He's on his way. He's got his own business. I'm so
He's
proud
directing a
of you.
nonprofit.
He's directing a nonprofit. I am so proud of you.
Thank you, Mom.
Because I saw you go through this journey. And oh my God, I am so proud of both of you. Because I remember, you remember when Jelani wouldn't talk? Jelani, you remember that?
When was that?
You wouldn't, in school, you were very shy. You would not, and to see you get up and talk in front of people now.
Oh, yeah.
You went to a phase where you wouldn't
So what
talk.
happened with that was like, I would get in trouble for talking too much in school.
When you were younger, I remember.
And then like, I was just done with it. And so I stopped talking in school. And then I guess I found a middle ground somewhere. But yeah.
So, here's what I love. Is that it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. Jelani, there are a lot of parents who think they have to choose between raising a really great young man or young woman, having a close relationship with them. They have to choose between that or live their dream, create their dream. They don't think they get both. Mm-hmm. I done talked to them till I'm blue in the face.
Right.
Could you look into either one of the cameras? Mm-hmm. And could you talk to them as a child of someone who chose to live their dream while parenting? Could you just give them some words?
Speaking to the parents or speaking to the children?
Speaking to the parents.
Okay, yeah.
Could you look in that camera?
Yeah. So I think that coming from a space where like I was a kid who was raised by a parent who had to juggle their time, I say the best thing to do is like make it very apparent that the time you do have available is 100% like committed, you know? Because it doesn't really like matter the number of time, the amount of time you spend. The amount of time you spend doesn't like amount to the quality, right? And so I really think quality is what matters. Just making sure you're not like doing things that make you feel better, just doing things that like, you know, just ask questions and be open. I think a big one of like our things is that you are always asking questions. And so I was always able to answer them honestly, and which comes like, I think it all boils down to like a lot of things, like making sure you're like honestly listening, right? Not like half asking and then not really listening.
Fully present.
Right, because if you're asked something 10 times and then like it never happens, you're gonna stop really giving you're gonna just start saying what they wanna hear. I think that's where a lot of parents like are frustrated, is that they can't get their children to say what they really feel. They're just saying like what they want the parents to hear. I think that comes because the parents hear what the truth is enough to where like sometimes it goes unanswered, right? And it's like, hey, what do you want to do? It's like, I want to do this. And then if you don't end up doing that and you don't explain why you didn't do that, I guess, there's a lot of open communication between us. If I didn't get something I want, it was very clear why I didn't get it, you know? I was very clear about when there was money problems or when like...
It wasn't a financial...
It wasn't a financial... financial priority.
That's what I taught him. So instead of telling him we can't afford anything, I would say, Jelani, that's
not a financial priority. And so I use that same language now that I'm in a marriage.
Look at that. I introduced him to that phrase when he was 8 years old because I kept hearing when I was a kid, we can't afford it, we can't afford it. And a friend of mine said, stop saying that because then your child is going to have a lack mentality. And so he would say, Mommy, can we get the Xbox 360? I say, no, son, that's not a financial priority.
No, it made me okay with it because it made me like open my eyes to when things are like, you know, when things are available, they are. When they're not, they're not. And it really comes down to like making things available for yourself through like work and stuff. Yeah, I think that's all I can say on like the kid side. Like, what would you say?
What would you say to a young adult who is teenager? I have a lot of teens who follow me, young 20s, and they've made some poor decisions. And they're having a hard time getting them.
Yeah, I've definitely like made mine like I've definitely had my like share of like having to like readjust and like reevaluate like what I'm really like aiming towards. I think a big one is like don't beat yourself up for not knowing what you want like out of life like overall like right now. Other than that, it's kind of just like have patience, and that extends in so many different ways. Patience like to not anger quickly, patience with other people's shortcomings, like patience like just patience in general. I think is like, if I'm speaking from like a young person's perspective, I think a lot of young people like want things so quickly that we kind of like don't really want to like put in the legwork. I think I hear you speak from stage sometimes, and like it only like I only hear you half the time, but sometimes the things you say are like really resonant with what I'm thinking. One of them was like to like sign up for the journey, not only for the destination. And that resonated with me because I was just thinking like a couple days ago, like I want a lot out of life. Like I have a really clear goal at the end, you know? I have a really clear goal for what I want, but I don't have a clear goal of how I'm gonna get there. And so I realized I didn't sign up for the journey yet. I just signed up for the destination. So I think like if I can like, you know, in terms of young people, I think a lot of young people just want things really quickly. Like, you know, we see, because there are millionaire 23-year-olds, but not everyone can be a millionaire 23-year-old. Right. Some of us have to wait like 6 or 7 years
to be a millionaire 30-year-old.
Right. So I think like I look at people like Bryan Cranston, where they got discovered in like their 40s, you know?
Right. Or your mom.
Right.
I decided, I figured out what I wanted to be when I grew up when I was 28 years old. Mm-hmm. I had the courage to take the leap at it when I was 32. I figured out how to make a profit at it when I was 41. And then it began. And then it began. Then the me that you see today was born.
So like it's things like that where I'm looking at myself like 24-year-old, I'm like, dang, I really don't have it together right now.
Which
I'm thinking
is
like,
okay.
It's like, okay, that's fine. Like, you know, looking at what people have been doing when they're 24.
Right.
I'm like, it always comes back to like, when I think about it overall, like I'm living a better life than half, I'm living a not so, you know.
Right. I got more improvement.
Yeah, so I'm in the middle. I think everyone can say they're in the middle in general.
Right.
Yeah. So that's all I have to say in terms of like both perspectives. I think both sides have to have patience. I think patience is such a big one. Just like slow down and chill out and not take everything so serious.
Tell that to them.
Yeah, so like my number one thing is patience. Just being able to slow down and not like take things too seriously comes with that, I think. This too shall pass is like a really big one for me.
Mm-hmm. So from my son, my mom, and my family to yours, thank you for allowing us to share the journey. Destination, unknown.
Thank you guys.